Hi, everybody.
Morning, Cathy.
Morning, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How about you?
I am well, thank you.
Good,
Ready
good.
ready for today's class?
Oh, yes, yes. And then I found all the mail I wanted.
Oh,
I
good.
received all the mail. That's normal now. I'm so glad.
Oh, good. Yes, because I'm putting you on twice.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Excellent. So
Right.
you're probably getting too much, but too much is better than not enough.
Exactly.
Yes. All right, let's see. We're going to do some cards. We are just about at the time, so I'm going to fan them out. And looks like everybody's ready. So someone can unmute themselves and just say,
Do the very first one.
The very first one? Okay. Okay, got it. May you know compassion.
That's a good one.
Well, I'll read
Yes,
that.
it is a good one. Compassion.
I'll read that at halftime. So we're ready for that. So I have put together an example, a chart. Probably should have printed backwards, but these are the colors we're going to use today. So we have raw sienna, purple, we have ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, ochre, red, green, and pink. And if you do not have a pink, this is quinacridone. If you do not have pink, you can make pink with red and purple. So you see you come up with pink, something very similar. So if you're mixing colors, then you have a moment to do that. And while you're doing that, we'll just get into art mode. So there are some people that are new that haven't been before. My name is Cathy. I teach the art class. I do this Tuesdays and Thursdays. This is watercolor. You will experience a step-by-step watercolor process. So we'll just go through one step at a time. If for whatever reason I am going too fast, please let me know and I will slow down or just take a pause. But at that point, that's kind of a lead in. We're going to take a pause. We're going to take a deep breath in. We'll do this 3 times. So we'll take a deep breath in and hold it at the top of your breath, and then just release and drop your shoulders. So if there's any problems or anything going on in your life that would distract you from this gift of this hour for yourself, just set that in the parking lot for now. So we'll just take a deep breath in and hold it and release. Shoulders down. Another deep breath in. Hold it and release. And one more deep breath in and release. Shoulders down. We get a lot of tension in this area, so we'll just release and let that go. If you find during the class that you've got a death grip on your paintbrush, just relax. It's not life-threatening, life-altering. This is just a piece of paper. Or if you're using a canvas, it's just a small canvas, so it can be repeated. You've got the sketch, so you can duplicate it. The colors that I choose don't have to be the same colors that you choose. I give you complete, the authentic artistic license to mix and match whatever colors you like. This is a French window. So this is our tour to France. So if you want to paint it different colors, I give you full permission to do that. There's no right or wrong. If you go out of the lines, that's okay. I encourage that as well. So there's no punishment for doing it differently than how I do it, but I will take you through the step-by-step. And then if you decide you want to do this again, you'll have some of the tips and some of the methods that I show you, and you can alter those to your own way of doing it. So we've got a couple of things in the chat. Hello, Brenda. Brenda is new. Welcome, Brenda. This is a fun class, I hope, for you as well. So these are the colors that we're going to do today, which I showed at the very beginning. So this is raw sienna, purple, ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, ochre, red, green, and a pink. And if you do not have pink, you can make pink from purple and red mixed together. So it's a similar pink. It's not quite the same, but it's similar. So with that, we're going to start already. We're going to start putting colors on. This is the fun part. You've drawn your sketch. So I'm just going to put my camera a little bit on an angle so you can see better. Maybe move the light away a little bit. Someone commented that the picture that I had sent through, the sketch came through when you printed it brown. My apologies for that. That's the lighting that I used. I didn't have a bright light. I will correct that in the future. So thank you for that comment. So we're going to start with the big window and we'll do around the outside of the large window. We're not going to do the shutters. Not yet. And we're going to start with ochre. So I'm just getting ochre on my brush. I'm doing wet paint on dry. We're not going to soak the whole canvas. I am using, I have paper towel. I always have paper towel. And I've got 2 buckets of water. So they're just 2 glasses of water. One I keep clear and one I use for cleaning my brushes off. And I've got a number of different brushes. What I've said in instruction is anywhere between a 0 and 6. I do have an angle brush that I may use. This flat brush, I don't know why it's in my collection today, but it is. So mostly I will use a number 3 pointed brush. That's what I've got in my hand. This is a number 3. And this brush I obtained from Curry's art store. You can get brushes from Michael's. You can get brushes, I would say Walmart, or the dollar store. You may be frustrated if the bristles start to fall out. My experience with brushes is if the bristles start to fall out when you're painting, it's time to start with another brush. It's just so frustrating that it will continue. If they start to fall out once, it's going to continue, and it's just time to move on. But that's up to you if you want to hang on to your brushes. If they're part of a set, I totally understand that. So we're going
Cathy?
to start. Yes.
I'm sorry, I apologize to interrupt. Somehow, Lord only knows why, I didn't make those lines on the one on the left. Maybe something interrupted. I don't know. Should I do it right now or should I just paint
These
along?
lines, this is the shutters.
Yeah, I have the box, but not the lines.
Okay. You can try to paint the lines as we go along. The lines.
Is that better? I mean, I
um,
can throw them in right now if you say, either way.
Well, it's up to you if you want to do that. We're just leaving a little gap in between each shutter. And Beth, if you could just have a look with where I hold the paintbrush with the shutters, they start at this angle and then they start to move down. So pay
Do that
attention.
one more time, please.
They start upward and
And then they angle down a little.
and they start to move downward. So pay attention to that because that's what gives that dimension of
Maybe that's
the
what
light.
stopped.
See how it moves? Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to try to understand that. Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Cathy.
And I think I said we're going to start with ochre. My apologies. We're going to start with raw sienna. So raw sienna is the outside of the big window. So we're just going to paint that straight line, come across the top. And I'm just doing wet paint on dry using my number 3 brush. So that's the top of the window.
Cathy, someone asked what a substitute for raw sienna is.
Raw sienna. I think red and yellow might give you. I'm just going to do that in my tray. Just give me a moment. I think red and yellow will do that. Nope, that's going to give you orange. Let me see. Raw sienna, red and red and a little bit of blue. So mix, if you don't have raw sienna, mix red and a little bit of blue. So let me just put that on my chart so you can see that red if I put red and blue together, I'm going to mix the two. I'm going to end up with a brown color. I might
Really?
want a little bit more red in there. So you're going to end up with something pretty similar to raw sienna. So that's red and blue mixed together.
Nice.
I hope that helps. We're going to come down the side of the window, right down to the end, all the way down the end, right to the bottom. So that's the outside of the window. And don't worry that it's not completely even in color. This is a weathered look on a French window. It's an outside window, a frame. If it's not completely straight, there could be some weathering happened over time. At least there is in my picture. If yours is perfectly straight, that's up to you.
You do the whole frame?
I'm doing the side,
Mhm.
top, and down the side. So I'll show you the picture. This is the finished picture.
Okay.
And that's what we've done so far. So we're not doing down the bottom. You don't need to do the bottom. And we want the side left open. The outside is a wall. So we want to let that dry. Rather than do anything to that right now, we're going to go back. We're going to move over to the shutter. Hopefully you've got your shutter drawn, Beth. So with phthalo blue, I'm going to do the top, the outside frame of the shutters only. Coming down the side. I want to come down the other side. And remember that watercolor is going to dry 20 to 30% lighter from when you put it on, which is going to work in our favor. So we're coming down one side and we're leaving the bottom open right now. So we're just doing the outside of the shutter. If you've got the outside of the shutters painted, now we're going to paint inside each shutter. Leaving a space between them. And if you drew your shutter panes completely straight, even though you've got the pencil lines there, you should be able to adjust and just paint them that they start to move in a downward direction as you move along. So don't worry about your pencil lines. You can paint over your pencil lines. And once your painting's dry, You can't even, once it's dry, so you need to wait for it to dry, but then you can paint your pencil lines or erase your pencil lines later. So follow the angle of those shutters going downward. And if some of your shutters are thicker or darker, that's okay. We're going to put some shadows in there, which will give a nice look of the light. So again, this is just step by step. We'll just take one step at a time.
Kathy,
Yes.
in the middle of the windows, there's kind of like a little hinge on the blue one. Did you paint that or did you just go a little thicker up there
I'm going
near
to
the
paint,
top?
we're going to paint that hinge black,
Okay,
and we're going to do a shadow between the two windows in black.
okay, so don't paint it.
So,
Okay,
so leave the space in between.
gotcha.
Kathy, someone's asking if you can show the colors that you were using again.
We have raw sienna, purple, ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, ochre, red, green, and pink. In order to make the raw sienna, we mixed red and blue. In order to make pink, we mix purple and red.
Can I ask you what I do to make mine look like it's angled?
Here, do you want to
Please.
hold that? Okay, so at the top, angle it from the brown. How do we want to do that? You're going to, on your top, you're going to go up. So you've got an extra gap at your top, so put in an extra line that goes up. And at the bottom, make an extra line that makes it go down. And that will give a visual look that the whole thing is on an angle. So I'm holding my brush and you can see the top part has an angle and the bottom part has an angle. So even if your middle is all straight, if you make that angle at the top and the angle at the bottom, it will visually give the look.
Are you talking about do it with paint or do it with a, I'm still not following.
Do it with paint. Paint your top at an angle, like I'm showing with my brush. and paint the bottom with an angle like I'm showing with my brush. Has that helped, Rachel?
I'll see. Thanks.
All right, so now we're going to go into purple. So I'm taking my purple paint and I'm lightening it up a little bit. I don't want it full on heavy purple, but I do want the purple to show. And I'm going to put the purple on my window pane lines. So my lines on my window also go at a different angle. And my center post goes straight up and down. So you may look at that when you're painting it on there and think, oh, are you kidding me? It's okay. It's the look that we want from a certain angle. So just paint your panes on and we'll come back to that and you'll see how that's going to work. Now with the same purple, on the far side of the shutters, away from the picture, on the opposite side, I'm going to put purple in between my shutters. Where I've left that white, I'm going to put purple. This is just in the white. Now, as I go closer to the bottom, I'm going to go a little bit farther. I'm not going all the way across, but I'm going a little bit farther each time. So you can see that the shadow of light is moving. And I'm still using my number 3 brush. And on top of each shutter, on the top of the blue, I'm going to put a line across, a purple line, just a fine line across the top of each blue shutter. So just a very fine purple line just at the top of the blue. It just extends my shadow. And gives a little bit shadow behind or underneath each shutter.
Did you do across the whole shutter or just
I went
where it
across
still
the
was
whole
white?
shutter with the purple. That
Uh-huh.
purple line goes right across the top of each shutter.
Mm-hmm. But just where it was left white, right?
Now, if you remember when I said at the very beginning that when watercolor dries 20 to 30% lighter than when we put it on, that would work in our favor. So we're going to come down the outside of the blue window with fresh phthalo blue. It's going to be darker because it's fresh paint. It's the same color as what was on there, but it's going to look quite a bit darker because it's a shadow. It's the side of the window. So you're
So
going
that
on
line is
top of
getting
what
a
was
little
already there. We're
thicker?
still leaving a little bit of a white gap in between
Okay.
because we're going to put some gray in there and the little black hinge. So I just used the same color paint, this blue, and came down the outside or inside of that shutter. So we're just about at halftime. While you're doing that, some of you are still finishing. I'll just read our joy cards, our meditation card for everyday living. And the word of the day today is compassion. So take a deep breath, relax, drop your shoulders. May you know compassion. May you know that compassion is innate in all human beings. Nurture compassion and begin with accepting yourself for who you are and without judgment. Be genuine in your motives and take time to listen and understand and care for yourself. From this grounded place, take your compassion into the world. Compassion runs deep and has incredible healing powers. So may you know compassion. And may we work on the window a little more. So let's go to the big window. And I'm going to take ultramarine blue now, which is a different blue in the dark color, still with my number 3, my pointed brush. This is wet on dry paper. I'm going to come underneath my raw sienna. I'm going to do a band of this dark blue color. As I get down near the bottom, it looks like it's lightening up a little bit. So I'm going to add some fresh ultramarine blue. I want it to be a nice dark band right alongside that. Right along that raw sienna. So it's an inside frame for my window. So I'm still not doing anything on the outside edge. I'm still not worried about the bottom. We're going to put a lot of really pretty flowers here. And while I'm letting that dry, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick up some black on my brush so I can rinse it off. Just tap it off on my paper towel, not dry it completely. It's okay that I have some moisture still on my bristles. I'm putting black in a separate little puddle and I'm adding water because I want it to be gray, not a dark gray, a really light, soft gray. So I'm not looking for, if I put on straight black, it would be really heavy. I'm looking for a really watered down light gray. So I've just picked up a touch of that black and added a lot of water, lots of water, because I want it to be really light. And with that light gray, I'm just going to start with my number 3 brush. I'm just going to start to put some movement on the wall. I want it to look like the wall is weathered. If it's a little bit watery and it starts to flow down, that's okay. I'm just starting to put a little bit of color of this gray beside the shutter. So this is where watercolor just starts to do its magic. I'm just putting it on there. I'm not worried about any particular method. I just want a little bit of gray just to look like a concrete wall. And back up to the top, adding a little bit more. Not to overdo it. I don't want the whole thing covered. I still want to have a
Kathy,
bit of
excuse me.
white on my
Can
canvas.
Can you explain where the light source is? I don't understand where the shading, where the sun is creating the shade.
The light is coming from this direction.
Okay, right to left. All right, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So more gray on the wall. I don't need to put too much underneath the shutter and the window, because I am going to put flowers there, but I do want a little bit at the bottom. So you can see this is your window, so we're just putting on whatever colors, wherever it fancies you. If you want it to be a little bit darker in spots, that's okay. If you want to lighten that up, just add a bit of water. We're not looking for any particular motion, just a little bit of the look of a weathered wall. So it's around the sides, down this side. And right to the bottom. And right up at the top. And if you have a couple of spots that turned out a little bit darker and you want to lighten them, just touch it with your brush. We're going to come back to the window with purple. So I've got purple on my brush, a little bit watered down. I can always add more if it's too light. So I'm going to put a darker purple in these 4 windows. So these 4 windows are going to have a darker purple. I'm just touching them so you know which ones. The other 2 we'll leave for now. We'll put a little bit of gray in one and just a slight touch of purple. So I'm going to put purple in these windows. If I leave a little bit of gap between where I've drawn my window pane, that's okay. If I have a little bit of white showing, that's okay. I'm just going to clear up any extra dots that I've got, but I want to just blend that purple. So we're only doing those 4 windows right now. Now again, if they're too light, I can add a little bit of purple. I'd like it just to be a little bit darker. And if they're not perfectly even, that they've got some spots where it's lighter or darker, that's good. That's okay. So don't be so concerned about perfection. It's just a piece of paper. It's just a picture. If you want it to be different next time, you have the drawing. So again, I'm going to add a little bit more purple. I'm just making it a little bit darker each time. Leaving those window panes still to show.
Why with the window panes do you not do them like line to line, like completely fill them in?
Because of the, why are we not filling them in completely? Because if you look at a window with the sunshine, the whole
Mhm.
thing is completely filled in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's more natural.
Right. Thank you.
Now that gray that I put on the walls, I'm going to take that gray and I'm going to fill in the last 2 windows. And I'm going to do a straight line down the side so it looks like that's where the wall ends, where the window ends. I'm coming a straight line down and filling in that window with gray. So this is the same gray or a little bit darker maybe than what you put on the wall. We're going to come back on and we're going to put a little bit of purple on there, but let's let that dry for a minute, that gray. Let's let that dry and we'll start with some flowers because down below, oh, actually, sorry, my apologies. We want the gray. Also at the side between the 2 windows, we want to run that gray as a shadow between the shutter and the window. So it's right along that blue, right down to the bottom. We're still going to put on a hinge. We're also going to put on a handle, but we'll let this dry. So we've got the gray down the side.
Yeah.
We'll start with some flowers. So I've got ochre. I like ochre to be front and center. Maybe a little bit nice flower here. I want them a good size. I'm not looking for little tiny flowers.
Am I the only one that froze?
No, this is normal.
Oh, I've never had it before. Oh, well, no, once.
Okay,
So,
glad you're back.
okay.
What colour is that, please?
So that's ochre. And we don't want small flowers. You want them to be a good size. And we're going to throw in some purple. So let's put some nice purple in there. So I usually like to do odd numbers, so I'm going to add one more of each. So there's 5 ochre and 5 purple. If you do more or less, that's okay. Now I'd like to add my pink in there. I really want my pink to show up. I'm going to throw my pink in there. If for whatever reason you do not have pink, you can make pink with purple and red. So I've got some pink in there. And I'm going to have some trailing pink. So we're going to incorporate the colors. We're going to put some nice red in here. So there can be some red in here. And I'm going to put a nice little red flower in my bottom purple window. Now to pull this all together, I need to start adding green. And so I'm going to put some foliage in and throughout the flowers. So I'm just putting green in between the flowers. Here and there, I may have a little leaf comes out. I'm just filling the little gaps in between the flowers. When I come to where my trailing flowers are, I'm going to add just a slight stroke to draw that together. I'm just using the point of my brush. Just to pull those flowers all together. I'm going to add a little leaf off to the side. And still continue to put foliage in between the flowers. And I've got my little flower in my window, and I just want to give it a little stem coming down.
What color of green did you use, Kathy?
Flowers, if you like, brighten it up a little bit, leave a little bit of white in between, further down. So, and as promised, I was going to put a little bit more purple in the window. So I'm going to leave some of the gray, but just put a touch of purple on the window pane, just as a reflection. So I just added a touch of purple on the window as a reflection.
Kathy, do you have orange in those flowers?
No, I have ochre, red, pink, and purple.
Okay.
If the orange and red has, or the ochre and red has touched each other and it's turned orange, that's a happy incident, not anything I did on purpose. But we're also
Kathy?
going to come back once that dries just a little bit. I just need that to dry, and I'm going to put a little dot in the center of some of my flowers.
Kathy,
Yes.
in the real windows, are the shutters purely decorative?
Well, we are going to give it a hinge, so I would, well, I don't know. It could cover over. In real windows in real life, not always. Some of them are used for cover.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know if I answered your question. In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. Now down the outside of this window that's, you can only see the outside edge. I'm going to run a gray line down the outside, a very light gray line, and I'm going to fan it out onto the wall. So I just added a gray line down the side where you can see this is a wall. And then I've just taken my damp brush and just fanned it out to the outside edge. We're still missing a hinge on the window. A top hinge, so I'm just putting that in black, just a top hinge. And we're going to put the handle on, just in black, on top of the blue. Just a little inside handle. Now my flowers are not completely dry, but on the face of some of them, I'm going to go ahead with purple, and I'm just going to put a little dot in the center, just on some. It's just a little bit of purple. I've just got a little dot of purple on some of those flowers. I'm going to put a dot of red in a couple of the ochre ones. I'm just using colors that I've got that I think might be fun, and a little bit of green maybe in a couple of the red ones. So if you want your flowers to drip down a little bit more, you want a little bit more foliage or a little bit more florally, you can certainly add that on just by doing a few little pink dots and adding a stem and a leaf here and there. And Linda, you're asking if this can be recorded. They're all recorded. So yes, this is recorded. So if you choose to watch this again and do it again on your own, then certainly go ahead and do that. Don't let this be the last time you paint. And if I just want to pick up some more of that yellow, because it looks like a little bit of that ochre, looks like a little bit might have been lost, I can just add a little bit in. But this is your window and your design, so your colors.
I like how full your flowers look. It looks really 3D because it's full, you know, I like it.
And yours, let's see yours. Are you able to hold yours up? I'm not seeing yours. They're full. Carol, make your flowers even bigger. Get really bold. So when you put a flower on, if I put a new flower here, I'm going to make a big flower, not a little flower. I'm making a big flower. So it's a big.
Yeah, like bougainvillea then.
Don't be afraid of paint. Put that on there and have fun with it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and then you can just put a little leaf beside or something trailing down. But yeah, just you know, really have fun with it. It's just a piece of paper.
You're right. The bigger flowers, yes, it makes a tremendous difference. Thank you.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah, I made it
That's
big like
fun.
bougainvillea.
That's fun. Go bold. That's right. Have fun. Good for you. So that's what you can do in 1 hour. I know we're not